Hello, everybody. Welcome to Barracuda After Dark by Teal Tinted Glasses on Teal Town, USA. I cannot see what's going on because of the glare. Not gonna lie, this is a rough one. Got a 6-2 loss to the San Diego Griffins, the Grand Rapids Griffins, which puts the Barracuda on the ropes. It's now a 3-1 series lead for the Griffins. So obviously, this is where the 2-3-2 can really come back and bite you because despite having home ice advantage, the Griffins could basically sweep the home series and take the series tomorrow. And that's obviously not a good place to be. With me this evening is the one and only Hockey Jerk. Hockey Jerk, what did you think of the game?
Um, yeah, I don't even know what to say. They looked like they got off to the right start, and then the wheels kind of just blew off the operation in the second period, and it was all it was all free falling from there.
It really
Um,
was.
yeah, and Puck guy says it was bad, and they should feel bad. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
They let Troy down. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, there's a lot of problems with this game from the Barracuda perspective. And for me, it starts with the inability to clear the front of their net. I thought that on one of the goals, I want to say it was maybe it was the Tangardi goal, where they just came out, he came out from behind the net, which basically had to beat, push through a guy, and then DeSimone tried to cut out and stop him and was completely ineffective at it. And, they just basically ran roughshod over the entire defense. Like the guy went through three players and, Grosnick did what he could. I think maybe the last one, the last, goal I really didn't like for Troy, but all in all, I thought that this was, it was a rough outing.
Yeah, it was. You brought up the Tangradi goal too. Yeah, it was a very nice power move from the corner, and honestly, they everybody just kind of got caught watching him, and he was able to blow through everybody and put it in the back of the net. And I agree with you. I don't remember who scored it, but the fifth goal scored by the Griffins was, I absolutely thought Troy needed to have that. He made himself small and he gave up the entire far side of the net, but other than that, it was like you said, a lot of inability to clear the front of the net and allowing the Griffins to make the most out of second and third chances. And the thing that stood out to me was that the Barracuda were trying to show that they weren't going to be intimidated by the Griffins,
Right.
but it ended up backfiring where they either took a stupid penalty or in general they were just way out of position and it allowed the Griffins to bring the puck back towards Troy.
Yeah, and and I think the lineup, the roster changes tonight. Stortini was in the lineup. Kelly was in the lineup. I'm not saying Kelly's a bad defenseman, but I mean they really seem to even the lineup decision said we're not going to be pushed around. And I mean, with such a critical game in the series, I don't know if those are the guys that if I'm Roy Sommer I would dress.
No, not at all. And Sommer's mindset the whole playoffs has been playing the best lineup, which is why we saw Middleton and DeSimone lock down roster spots towards the end of the season, and then to kind
Exactly.
of to kind of go, the Todd McClellan route where it's like, okay, we got to out physical these guys. And I mean, sure, you could argue the Barracuda won the physical battle, but then obviously it lacks on when it comes to the scoreboard.
Yeah, and and a lot of people saying that the Griffins do get away with a ton of crap. There's a lot of guys on there that are easy to hate on that team. There's a lot of guys that are fun to watch on that team. There's a lot of guys that are really, really easy to hate. I and I think that's why the Barracuda have tried to respond to it because obviously they have been thrown off their game by stuff like that. Um, players that are obviously looking to get under people's skin and they know exactly how far they can go in front of the ref. And then you have other guys like Timo Meyer who well, occasionally still gets the call from the ref is just like developing a really crappy reputation for diving. And you pointed this out on Twitter. Um, it's, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I don't know which feed you had for the game, but I had the Griffins feed,
I did too.
and yeah, and I don't know if you caught, but when Timo embellished, I believe it was a slash in the third period. They said that he kind of gave the Griffins bench a little look. Now,
Hmm.
I mean, it was, their commentary, so you don't know how misconstrued that could be, but the fact that that's how they interpreted it, it's not, you're not creating a good identity for yourself as a player.
No, because the problem is it's not like it's not just we didn't just hear this round from the Griffins announcers. We heard it during the Stockton series. We heard it during the Gulls series. Like and we've heard. I feel like before he got called back up to the NHL, we kind of heard that basically anywhere Timo was.
Yeah, and kind of just going off of that in general, when you look at the Barracuda's playoff run as a whole, I've noticed that in every series they've had, one game where they kind of let it get away from them.
Yeah.
I believe it was game 4 against Stockton where they gave up a 2-goal lead and then came back and won it in game 5, and then game 1 against San Diego let that get away from them in overtime, and then won 4 straight. And in this series, we've already had 2 games that have gotten away from the Barracuda, so it's not creating, a sense of confidence when you expect them to come back and win 3 in a row.
Yeah. No. And the other problem here too is that and look, if they can win tomorrow, I still like their chances going back to SAP.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't you can't argue, but I mean, and obviously if they lose tomorrow, it's over. But uh, I mean, yeah, I'm not super confident it's going back to SAP at this point. But I mean, I obviously I want it to, and I think that there's still there's still enough players on this team that this series should be closer. Just flat out, this should be a closer series.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and it kind of makes me think that the Barracuda, if anything, can get this to a 7th game because the Griffins are good. They've been the better team for the last 2 games, I would say, but
Yeah.
the Barracuda still have their own share of good forwards and good defensemen, and there's nothing saying. And I said this after the whichever period that the Griffins just exploded in, where
Mm-hmm.
they scored 4 goals. There's nothing saying that this Barracuda team can't score 4 goals in a single period,
No, no,
but
they have the
it's
tools.
that exactly. It's just a matter of not letting the Griffins be intimidating them, and I almost feel like by trying to show that they won't be intimidated, they actually made themselves even more intimidated.
No, yeah, I agree. Um, I think that's a good place to turn it to. Um, what do you think that, where does this have to start? If the Barracuda are going to turn this around and miraculously win this series, how do they get there?
They need to go back, and I said it after. I think I said it after they lost game 1. They need to go back to just making simple plays. Don't try and look good.
Right.
Just do the right things, do the smart things. Don't let yourself get caught up in the moment because then you get situations where Haluka just throws hands at a guy when he's not even looking, and those are situations you want to avoid, especially because if you put the Griffins on the power play, they're going to tear you apart. And on top of that, they just need to help out Grosnick more. I mean, yes, he's the AHL goalie of the year, but there's really only so much that he can do.
No, completely agree. I think it starts with discipline. Um, yeah, this series has been rough, and yeah, I can understand how the Griffins can get under your skin, but the Barracuda took a lot of really stupid penalties tonight, and they paid for it. And I think if they're going to win, I mean, it's hard to get momentum going when they spent probably a good portion of the second period where they got outshot by a bajillion shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even remember them having a decent opportunity on goal. if you can't stay out of the box, you're never going to get that momentum.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
that's where it starts. I think um, it starts with just staying out of the box, because if you're not going to the box every 2 minutes, then you're not spending all this time in your zone. I think that you got guys that, obviously, the guys you lean on heavily are also guys that you heavily use on the penalty kill. And if you can't, if those guys are getting tired playing 5-on-4, heaven forbid 5-on-3, then they're gonna have nothing else left when it's time to go and play in the other zone.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I think we saw that on the power play chances the Barracuda got, because like you said, for the most part, everybody has some form of say when it comes to 5 versus 5 power play penalty kill. You'll see Danny O'Regan on the top power play unit, but then you'll also see him kill penalties, and it's the same way, all throughout the lineup. And I think the fact that for the Barracuda, it was such a parade to the penalty box, and they were just so tired from being down a man that when they got their power play chances, they literally just had nothing.
Right. I think obviously it's unfortunate, because obviously the Barracuda have had some injury issues. Like, again, the lineup tonight I don't think was really the optimal lineup that I would want to throw out there, and I think injuries are playing a factor here somewhat. I mean, Chartier hasn't played since the Gulls series, and that's such a huge loss. And I like how Kevin in the chat, our partner in crime, Kevin Lacey, says making simple plays equals scratch LeBanc, and it's like you can't right now. Like, you would just be, who would you put in his place? Like, it's scary.
Yeah, it's the worst time for all of these injuries that are piling up. I know you said Chartier, who's uh probably the most underappreciated player on the team. He doesn't light up the score sheet, but he's a super trustful center that you can have out there. And then, did the Barracuda go with 7D today, or who did they pull out? Because I know Kelly was back in, and I know McNally was back in.
Right. I'm not sure, because I didn't, it's hard because I don't see it's the AHL feeds. They don't really give you a quick, this is the lineup, and then I'm stuck squinting through their grainy video trying to read jerseys and try to figure out who's where.
Because I don't think I saw Middleton.
I feel like Middleton was there, no?
He could have been, but the point is we're seeing a lot of the
Oh,
key
McNally
guys.
played on the wing.
Oh, interesting. Well,
Just
I
shows
don't
you how
know.
things have gone.
Yeah, seriously, I don't know why. I mean, you already have, for your physicality aspect, you already have Big Spence who had been
True.
playing well. So I don't know why you don't put McNally in Stortini's spot. So
I just
it's
think that, if McNally is the next Brent Burns, then we're good.
right. Yeah, I mean, get him comfortable playing on the wing, and then once he pots 20, 25 goals, just put him on the back end. It's
Put him
gonna
on the
go
back
fine.
end. Pay him $8 million. It'll be good. James Abel asking, on a side note, and we'll probably get to this, because you know me, I'll talk Barracuda for 20 minutes, and then I'll just talk about random stuff for the rest of the show, because that's how I roll. Um, but who do you got, Pens or Preds?
Predators.
Me too. And that's not just because, like, I don't want Pittsburgh to win, because I'm not the biggest Pittsburgh fan on the planet. I genuinely believe that the Predators have the pieces to get it done. I mean, you have to give full marks to Ottawa for what they did. A team that I constantly just said were terrible the whole playoffs. But you have to give them credit for what they did. But I think that the fact that Ottawa was able to push them to 7 really highlights how badly the Penguins are banged up on the back end.
Yep.
And against the Predators, I think that's going to get very badly exposed. Because I just refuse to accept that Ottawa's a good team. I won't do it. You can't make me do it. No one can make me.
Gun to your head. Are the Senators a playoff team next
Nope.
year?
You might as well just end it. End it all. Um, and you know what? And I like PK Subban. Like, I really genuinely like PK Subban. I wish that there was more PKs in the game, and I wish that the league would see that, guys like that are the key to marketing this to a newer audience. and I just it baffles my mind, and it makes me happy though because at the same time it's like, when Montreal got bounced out of the playoffs in the first round, what was one of the biggest problems? Their defense couldn't get the puck out of the zone. Oh gee, who did that for them for the last how many years?
Yeah, exactly. Montreal's got problems.
Kevin's reining us back in. How'd you feel about Adam Haluka getting back on the scoreboard? It was nice. I mean, for me, I'm a big Adam Haluka guy.
I'm with you there 100%. It was a very nice goal, nothing fancy about it. He just put the puck, on the net and it went in. And I'm a big fan of Adam Haluka. I like his game. I think he has a good, blend of physicality but offensive prowess as well. And I've said it many times and I've seen it all year. He'll go through really long scoring droughts, and then when he scores, it's like he's got like 3 or 4 goals in a 2 game span. So I'm hoping that this is another, hot streak that comes alive, especially when, frankly, guys like LeBanc and Danny O'Regan just haven't been scoring at the pace that they were during the regular season.
Um, sorry. Um, yeah, and Kevin pointing out some numbers here. This is why Kevin, you should be on the show. Uh, Kevin just pointing out this is the first time that the Barracuda have lost back-to-back regulation games all year, which is something I didn't even realize. But it doesn't surprise me either because I mean the Barracuda were pretty good about bouncing back from bad games, and um, gosh, you really hope that game was last game that they would pull their back up, their comeback routine. But I guess if they can pull it tomorrow and push this game back to the SAP Center during the week, um, then that would be good.
Yeah, exactly. And the Barracuda, they have this is the first time they've lost consecutive games in regulation, but you could argue that game 3 was much closer than this game was. I think that the Griffins took the lead in the third period towards
Mm-hmm.
the end. I don't know exactly, but you could argue that that one could have gone either way. And then this one, like I said, it was a train just going straight into a ravine. So
Right.
you kind of hope that the Barracuda can feed on that and get a win tomorrow. And then you really never know what'll happen when the Barracuda, or if the Barracuda come back to San Jose, because they've played so well at home all year, and it seems like every home game that passes there's an extra 100 fans in the tank. So they feed off of that kind of stuff, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm not ready to write them off yet. If this were the Sharks, I might be a little more easy. It'd be easier for me to write them off, but
Oh,
the
I'd have
Barracuda,
written them off at the start of the series.
yeah, right. But the Barracuda have shown all year that they are resilient,
That they
and
are.
I have no reason to believe that they can't come back in this series.
Yeah. Brian Delfava on the chat here. You know how in Thomas and Friends the trains would go falling off the bridges? That's how it looked tonight. And he's not wrong. That's basically how I see it.
I would say that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, look at and if I'm not writing them off. I mean, obviously, it's nice to talk about a must-win game that is actually a must-win game, which is nice.
Yeah, I feel like the Barracuda are finally getting challenged in these playoffs.
Right. And they, and here's my thing too. And I was kind of tweeting back with and forth with Patrick Williams from NHL.com, who does just great work on the AHL. And I was just saying like part of me wonders though is like because this team had a lot of trouble with Stockton in the first round, probably more trouble than they should have, in my
Right.
opinion. And they did beat the Gulls, but man, that Gulls team was pretty damn depleted. And so part of me wonders if the Gulls team kind of just really hid some of the problems that we saw in the first round, and I don't want to say they're bad, but instead of turning the corner, you know what I mean? Like they were just kind of the same, just against a crappier team.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up too, because like you said, that goals team was very depleted, but yet there were still times where I feel like the goals outplayed the Barracuda, and I'm almost wondering if like the very high level and high pace that the Barracuda played at during the regular season, and the level that they had to take it to just to get past Stockton, I'm wondering if it's catching up to them.
Yeah, I think I absolutely think physicality is playing an effect, and I absolutely think that um, he. Sorry, 1 second. He threw all his trains in here. My son wants to be on the show. I apologize. Um,
How do you think he feels about Adam Haluka getting on the score sheet?
I think he's. Oh my goodness. 1 second. Can you vent for me here for a second, Hockey Shark?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Let's just go through the chat here, really quick. Okay, so let's see. AO says it all depends on how Grosnick plays. If he's only a mere mortal, then it will not happen. It, I assume, meaning the Barracuda coming back. Yeah, absolutely. You want your goalie to steal a game, absolutely, but at the same time, I feel like Grosnick has stolen his fair share of games. Let's see. Puck guy says physicality, absolutely. The Heat and the goals both took their toll on the Barracuda. The Heat more so than the goals. Brian saying that defense has got to step up, also very true. We saw in the regular season that Tim Heed was able to take over a game by himself, and
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part he's been neutralized. Nick Stella says Jumbo or Patty. Well, Jumbo was at the Barracuda game, so he's getting re-signed.
He's
Uh-oh.
in. Oh damn it! Here we
Oh,
go.
no. All right, we've done it now.
We've awakened Kevin. We've drifted off the Barracuda for far too long.
Roar! Barracuda lost me angry.
Oh man, the incredible Kevin Lacey, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Kevin?
Oh, I'm disappointed.
Me
I'm
too.
disappointed that it was like it wasn't just a loss. It was, man, that game sucked kind of loss.
Yeah,
Like, disappointing. But thanks for having me on. You
course.
basically summoned me with this is why we should have you on, and I
Yeah,
said,
well,
yeah, actually I
this
should
is what
probably jump
happens.
on.
I don't know smart things. I just talk Barracuda for a little bit, and then I let the chat randomly
well,
take me in all different directions, and you
well,
know
then
how
what
it
the
is.
heck am I doing here? I don't know
I,
smart things. You know what? I'll provide a stat though.
okay,
First off, by the way, Hockey Jerk, I think you nailed it in that. Uh, I think the Barracuda. I hate to say it, but I think they peaked. I think they tried so damn hard to get first overall in the regular season that they kind of burned themselves out a little bit. That's how they're playing right now to me. But I with DeSimone and McNally and Kelly in the lineup, I was like, where was Bergman in all of this? And then I looked it up, and Bergman was actually playing, and he was -4. So he was
he got
obviously out there a lot.
laid
And
out today too.
no, not good.
Not good. No, not a good night for Bergman at all. And the chat
Yeah,
is going
it's
crazy about steel cage matches and next week on Raw.
You'll find me on NXT Wednesday nights on
There
the
you go.
WWE on the Teal Town USA network.
Boom.
it's gonna be Kevin Lacey versus Roy Sommer in a steel cage match. Winner gets to pick the seventh defenseman for Game 5.
And now you know why I have that Kevin Lacey 22 Barracuda jersey, because the seventh defenseman's gonna be me.
Nice, nice. The hero we need.
And
Uh, Brian making up
Brian,
a. Go ahead, because I think
I
we're
was
saying
just
the
gonna
same
say,
thing.
yeah, Brian bringing up a very curious point. For whatever reason, the Mueller Bergman pairing has been relied on heavily in these playoffs, and honestly, I'm not feeling it. I feel a lot better with Middleton DeSimone out there than Mueller Bergman. And I said it to Kevin in person and on Twitter. I feel
Yeah.
like I feel like Mueller and Bergman is like the Barracuda's two least confident players on the same pair.
And it's unfortunate because I feel like at points during the season, like it's been more than a serviceable pair at some points. Like I don't think it's always been terrible, but I agree. I think that if you look at and this is something friend of the show Zach Devine's brought up many times too. If you look at those two defensemen, the one thing that's really a big flaw in their game is they're both incredibly predictable. You know what they're gonna do before they even have the puck.
And now, granted, Roy Sommer knows what he's doing. I mean, he's the head coach for a reason. And I'm
Yep.
sure he realizes this, just like how we have said that that second pair defense for the power play has not been very good. But I do think that there's a disguise there in that the game two, the power play was what, 3 for 6 or something like that? Like, the power play isn't completely anemic, but that unit needs to provide more. And I would like to see Coach Sommer, switch it up a little bit. But you mentioned earlier, Ian, that he might be getting into this Todd McClellan zone where he doesn't want to change anything. Something's got to give. The Barracuda are down 3-1. Like, the changes of Stortini going in and McNally on the wing and things like that, those aren't the moves that need to be made. There needs to be some other changes made to the lineup they already have.
Yeah, I think it's definitely time to move some guys around. I think they need to. I've been a real fan of Timo Meyer these playoffs. Start going back to when he was playing with the Sharks, but I feel like he needs to be reined in a little bit at this point. Like I think they need to rein him back just a teeny bit. Because I just feel like his like I know I like I said I like the sandpaper in his game, but it's a little much now. I think it's to the point where now it's starting to hurt the team more than help it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that he kind of created a long leash for himself with the Sharks playoff run and then his level of play in the Stockton series, and I think it's getting to the point where he's just always kind of running around trying to make that hit to dictate the play, and it's getting him into trouble, especially in this series when the Griffins have such a dynamic power play that they make him pay 9 times out of 10.
No, I agree. Sorry, I'm just responding to something in the chat here before
All
I.
good.
That's fine. I don't know. I mean, it's hard because like I don't want to completely just crap on Sommer. Like now the Barracuda's losing. Hey, guess what? I hate Sommer again. That's
No,
not what
no,
I'm
no,
trying to
no,
do
no,
here.
no.
Like that's not what's happening here because I know that I've been hard on Sommer in the past. Um, Puck guy asking just because we were talking about Timo Meyer, was he the sandpaper with Halifax and Runarenda? He had that element to his game, but honestly, it's the cue. He just throw a puck at the net and it's possibly will go in
I was
because
gonna say
hashtag Q stats.
you get the red line, and you kind of decide, okay, am I going to go to the left or the right of the Mastercard ice decal, and then you just chip it in, and
Right.
somehow it finds its way in the back of the net.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was, it's hard. Junior hockey's such a different game, especially in the queue where, arguably most of the goalies aren't that great. Especially it's the more open game than even the OHL and the Western Hockey League, for example. Um, so I feel that there's definitely he's always had that physical element to his game. I mean, he's a big freaking kid. Um, and but at the same time, he could score as lots of players can do in the queue, and he didn't have to rely on a lot of these antics that he's doing now because he could just power his way through people and score.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even though he's kind of been running around a little bit, I like that he's doing I like that he's doing, too much as opposed to doing not enough, because it's just as easy to be like, all right, Timo, you're playing really well, but if you pull it back just a little bit, then it'll be even better versus like, say he's going out there and playing his heart out and Roy Sommer's like, okay, we need more from you. It's like, oh, well, is what I'm doing not good enough? So I think Roy Sommer has the ability to kind of get him to pull it back in. And, I think if that line, I believe it's still Timo with LeBanc and O'Regan, but I'm not 100% certain. If that line can get going offensively, then I think we'll start to see the thuggery, if you will, lessen a little bit.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. Obviously, power play wasn't that good tonight, but I mean, really, again, I think it goes back to stupid penalties. Just, you spend almost an entire period killing penalties. Your power play is not going to be great because you're tired. Um, a lot of those guys, especially right now with the injuries, with the bodies missing out of the lineup, I don't think Yevlovs was in the lineup again tonight. If
Nope.
he was, I didn't see him. Chartier's still out. I mean, there's definitely key pieces missing. When you're putting McNally to the wing, I mean, there's problems.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. I mean,
And
I don't think that's like Roy Sommer woke up and said, at the beginning of the season, says, you know what, when we're down, when we're in like a must-win game in the playoffs or an almost must-win game, I can't wait to put McNally on the wing.
I think Roy Sommer just figures all I have left are European guys, so we'll go the European way. 8 defensemen in the
Eight
lineup.
defensemen.
I don't know. All I'm saying is I enjoyed what I saw from Big Spence. I don't know why they pull him out,
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. There's a lot of guys there that have obviously, especially in limited times. Like I really like what DeSimone's done in a limited time.
Yep, 100%.
Without really much time to learn the system or anything. I mean, he just came in and bang. Big Spence is another guy who I think really, he's figured out the system. Maybe, I like what he brings. I'm not going to say, he's the next, he's not Ryan Carpenter, but he's really good. And he's done his job. But, yeah, it's just. I mean, and if you're, it's funny because Brian in the chat, if you're Alex Shaneborn and Patrick McNally gets in the lineup before you do, how do you feel?
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's what I was saying about Jake Marchment and John Martin, but Alex Shaneborn, yeah, that's a guy. I mean, that's a guy who was actually drafted, I believe, a 3rd-round pick too. So,
well, we know the rule about Sharks 3rd-round picks.
well, that's true. And for more, check out articles on tealtownusa.com. Didn't Drew write an article about 3rd-round picks on there?
He might have. I mean, they're all awful. I don't remember a third.
All the
round pick
articles
that's
are awful?
really
Don't
good.
tell him that. How are people
No.
going to get on the Teal
Oh
Town
man,
USA?
I know. Sorry.
Drew's
Sorry,
fired.
Drew.
We don't have to pad his stats anymore.
Okay.
Not his stats anymore. You're right.
Don't worry. Teal Town USA is new and improved because we got rid of Drew Weber and his
That's
crappy
right.
articles, apparently, according to
And
Ian.
his love of the Carolina Hurricanes, which was most important of all.
That's true.
Most importantly, his love of Carolina. That had to end. We can't have that.
Phil, Cuda Phil, friend of the
Mr.
show,
Cuda Phil.
he is in Grand Rapids for this trip. Fans in the chat saying, "Get out while you can. Get out."
There's way. You know what? Okay, I
But
don't
wait, no, I was
remember
gonna say,
Grand
I'm
Rapids.
happy
Okay,
to
go ahead.
see, though,
Sorry.
Phil's saying that the Grand Rapids fans are being pretty polite to him, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. Look, you know what? I feel like I've been through Grand Rapids before, but I know, like, it never really left an impression on me, which means that there are far worse places in Michigan than Grand Rapids. Places that have left an impression on me. So,
you mean like Detroit?
like, definitely Detroit. But even like if you go to like, not so Detroit areas, because I mean Detroit's like obviously its own little cluster F, right? But I mean you can go to like Saginaw or Bay City. Those places are far worse. Far worse. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Jay Clark saying that Drew wants the Pens to win, and we should.
Oh, this is why we fired Drew.
He said he wanted them to beat the Sens. I don't think he said the Cup.
I don't care.
I'm not hearing a difference.
I don't care. I'm not, I don't care. You know what though? Let's talk about this for a second since we're clearly off the rails here. Are you happy that? Oh, Flint. Yeah, you want a hole? There's a hole.
Flint, Michigan, and
yeah.
their wonderful hockey program called the Tire Fires. I mean the Firebirds.
Definitely drink the water in Flint. I hear it's delicious and good for you. Wow, okay, I'm bad. Sorry, people of Flint. I know that wasn't cool. Well, let's talk about it. Are you guys happy that the Penguins won in the respect that because the NHL is such a copycat league, do we really want to see more people trying to be, um, try to employ that awful system that Ottawa plays?
I didn't expect you to go that way, hockey jerk.
I wanted Ottawa to win just because I'm a big fan of watching the world burn from the sidelines.
That's fair. But then if the whole league burns next year, I mean, do you really want that? Do you want like for me, if I'm staying up to watch a Sharks game at starting at 10:30 at night, the last thing I want to see is like every crappy team playing Ottawa's system. Okay, and now it's the Sharks versus the Flames, and I'm asleep in 10 minutes into the first period because
Well,
nothing's happening.
would you rather, have all 31 teams in the league be boring, or would you rather have all 31 teams, be in salary cap hell and have the fourth line made up of guys who have fake names?
Oh man, I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm just saying, what the hell is a Tom Kuhnhackl?
That's true. I don't know what a Tom Kuhnhackl is. Um, no,
What's a
I don't
Carter
know.
Rowney?
Yeah, I don't know. Nick asked, "What do I mean copycat league?" Nick, I don't know if you've noticed this through time, but I'm going to take you into a little time machine here, and we're going to go through some of the things that happens. Generally speaking, when an NHL team does well, everyone tries to mimic that style or that build or whatever, right? Remember when the Stanley Cup playoffs, the last goalies standing were Michael Leighton and Antoniemi, and
Yep.
everyone decided that no one had to pay goalies anymore, and
Yeah.
we suffered because we ended up with Niemi out of that deal. That's the copycat league because everyone for a couple of years thought, you know what, Evgeny Nabokov wants $6 million. No, 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 no. And goalies didn't get paid for a couple of years. Obviously, the Sharks have forever, ever, ever been trying to,
And
employ the quote unquote Detroit model, doing it very poorly because they don't draft and develop on the
mhm.
same level that Detroit does. Just things like that. Obviously, if something works, then everyone tries to copy it.
Yeah,
And there's been a lot of cases. Go ahead, Kevin. Sorry.
and my problem with that, and I firmly believe this is a huge part of why the Sharks have not won a Stanley Cup, is they are so busy trying to emulate past winners that they don't try and do something new, try and get ahead of the curve. That's how Pittsburgh beat the Sharks last year, was they got ahead of the curve by adding a ton of speed. Because on paper, Pittsburgh should have gotten ravaged by the Sharks physically. But they were
Yeah.
so damn fast that the Sharks physically couldn't even keep up with them. And you mentioned the years of Detroit. They always wanted a Johan Franzen. Oh, we got Ryan Clough. Well,
Yep.
that didn't
Yep.
matter because now Chicago got Dustin Bufflin. But it's okay because we got Brent Burns. But that doesn't matter because, and it's always this cycle. The Sharks need to get ahead of the game instead of trying to be a copycat.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, does that mean Doug Wilson firing? No, Doug Wilson made the Stanley Cup Finals last year. The Sharks are going to have to be just dreadful for Wilson to be shown the door. Like not even this year wouldn't even scratch the surface of the dreadful they would have to be because let's be honest, they were still a playoff team and he can hang his hat on the fact that your three top centers were all injured. It's hard to get mad at your GM when your top three centers are all injured going into it, going into any playoff series, let alone against Edmonton, who has guys that can just fly around them.
Yeah. Um, just to answer your question though about am I happy if that Pittsburgh won? Drew actually convinced me. Yes, I am happy Pittsburgh won. One on one, of course I want Ottawa to win,
Sure.
but I think from a league point, would you rather watch Nashville versus Pittsburgh? Would you rather see Nashville take out mighty Pittsburgh? Yeah, I mean, because Nashville has the whole continent behind them outside of one city.
Well, maybe
Um,
two. I don't know how many Chicago fans are on the Nashville bandwagon.
okay, that's fair. But the I'd rather see that series than Nashville Ottawa because
So would
Two
the
underdogs does not make great hockey, because look at past years when it was Tampa Bay and Calgary and Carolina and Edmonton. Look how we reflect back on them. They were enjoyable series, but we look back at, oh, Tampa Bay won the cup because all they had to do was beat Calgary. Carolina
right.
only won the cup because they beat the eighth seed Edmonton. Like Nashville, Ottawa would have been another series where we would look down upon a team even though they won a cup.
If a playoffs if a Stanley Cup championship is awarded but nobody's watching, did it really happen?
Ah, yeah.
Something else to consider too. If Ottawa had made it to the Cup final, then the Sharks should be really kicking themselves for wasting the best chance to win the Stanley Cup.
I think
Tommy
that goes
Wingles.
for every team though. Like this season, like these playoffs have been so wide open. And something else that's kind of bothered me that's come out of this too. And I know I kind of went around a little bit with my buddy MJ Kasperzak on Twitter. I'm just dropping all the names today apparently. But I just feel like, these guys are good people and you should follow them. And from a couple other sources too, this idea that the Penguins being in the Stanley Cup final twice means that that there's no like that somehow we're drifting towards NBAdom is just ridiculous to me. Like the NBA playoffs before they started, who was going to be in the end? It wasn't, all the other series they didn't matter. It was just like who's going to go lose to either the Warriors or the Cavaliers, right?
Right.
Like Pittsburgh got pushed to the brink by both Washington and Ottawa. There was never a given that Pittsburgh was going to be here. It
Yeah.
was, they didn't just sweep through the playoffs. Like, so the idea that there's parity is not a problem in the NHL because Pittsburgh's in the cup twice, I think that's ridiculous because it was never a given that Pittsburgh was going to be there. They could have been eliminated twice. Teams pushed them to their limit, which if they were this undisputed juggernaut, they don't go to 7 against Washington. They definitely don't go to 7 against Ottawa.
Um, yeah, I'm with you on that. The Penguins are definitely not a gimme team. If they were a gimme team, then the Capitals wouldn't have been. Is this finally the Capitals' year? Because the answer, even though the answer seems to always be no, but I mean that would be the outright answer. If we were at NBA level, it'd be Chicago and Pittsburgh every freaking year.
Yeah. And just in the chat here, someone asking if the Sharks would have made it past Edmonton, would they have made it? I don't think so. They were too
No.
banged up. They were too injured. I think especially they would had to play the Ducks next against a heavy team like the Ducks. That's not ending well for San Jose with the injuries they had.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jerk?
AO
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
asking if the Sharks have another beer. If they have another beer, does Peter DeBoer get fired? I don't know about that, but if they have another bad year, will he get fired?
I think Peter DeBoer could be fired if the Sharks incredibly stumble out of the gate. I think the seat under Peter DeBoer gets very hot very quick.
Agreed.
What about if they have another beer?
What if they have? Well, I
Well,
guess it depends on if they try
depends.
to drive.
Well, not only that, but is it a beer that was purchased at a Barracuda game for $2,
Or is it a chub?
or is it a chop?
Right, that's true.
Because if the Sharks have this beer in the press box of SAP Center at a Barracuda game, then no doubt they'll be here all year.
Oh, this is too good.
E5.
Too good.
E5.
E5. That's right. Going back and the Marlowe or Jumbo are both questioned. Jumbo was at a Barracuda game. Patrick Marlowe was not. Therefore, we know that Jumbo will be back and Patrick Marlowe won't be. TTG 5.
This is the kind of content you get.
This is what you get from us, like when we're podcasting into the end of May on the AHL.
Yes. Yes. I
Oh,
wanted to
man.
pull something up. Fill in, boys. Fill in. I need to pull something up here.
Sure. Hey, you could have the cheap beer at the Griffins game tonight if you made it within the time limit, which is again San Jose Superior. Mr. Kuda Phil saying he had a 2 low bats tonight, and you know what? That's all I would pay for.
Oh, there you go.
That's all I would pay for a lot of different beers.
No, that's. I mean, it's cool though. I like. You know, the one thing I do like about following the AHL as closely as I have this year with the Barracuda is just like the atmosphere at these games. And I think the NHL, like maybe not the super cheap drinks because I think that would get silly after a while at an NHL like capacity arena where you're actually at capacity. But I really think that the NHL could learn something from the AHL from the atmosphere at the games.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the atmosphere. Sorry, I'm being messaged. And I think that the NHL could learn because I think it's just a really fun atmosphere. You know, like you looked at the even at the Griffins games, you got people dancing, and I think I said something about no shirts, the Griffins playoff story or whatever, just because all the people are crazy and. Yeah, good stuff.
I only caught part of the game on the online video feed, but yeah, it looked like everyone was having a blast. I mean, it's easy to have a blast when your team's winning 6-2, but it did seem like everyone in Grand Rapids was having just a jolly time, just in the same way that San Diego has a very much a college party atmosphere.
Right.
I do think the Griffins need to work a little bit more on their Jumbotron graphics, because we don't need the little cheer this guy every 5 seconds, but other than that,
do it now.
Huh?
I said just do it now. Just for everyone, if you are in the San Jose area and you would like to watch the viewing party at Saturday at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, you want to make your way down to San Pedro Square Market, downtown San Jose. I have no idea where this is, but I'm sure you guys do. You guys should make your way down, watch the Barracuda. If they win, then it'll be a glorious party, and if it's
Glorious.
glorious party, and if not, it's never too soon to burn a cop car. Just remember that. If you learned anything from Canadians, it's okay to burn a cop car after your team loses.
Nice.
Maybe 2.
Actually, that the glorious thing had me a little concerned because I heard it playing at Van Andel Arena tonight, and I was like, oh no, because that's been the theme for the Nashville Predators playoff.
Oh no.
And I'm like, oh no, Grand Rapids is summoning their inner Predators. We're losing this game for certain.
Oh my goodness.
Cool, there's the graphic. Awesome.
What else is going on in this fine evening?
AO says I'll go overturn a VTA bus with Kevin.
Nice.
I do have my monthly pass.
I'm gonna take your downtown San Jose bicycles and throw it through some storefronts.
Nice.
There you go.
Nice.
Coming in from the KHL division of Teal Town USA, which is just me by myself. The KHL announced that they are contracting their league for next year.
I saw that.
Oh no! Oh no is right.
Novo.
They've told. I'm trying to pull up these names. You're gonna have to bear with me because I speak zero Russian.
I know one of them is Metallurg Novosnetsk, but I haven't heard of any others.
Metallurg Nova whatever and
Novosnetsk.
Sure, and Medveskak Zagreb.
Oh, that's the Croatian team. Really?
Yeah, those guys are being contracted. So now the KHL's down from 29 to 27 teams, and I think that their goal for this coming season is to be down to 24. So
wow,
it's going to be very interesting to see what teams go. If the teams do go, are they going to join a lower league, or are they just going to fold altogether? And if you want a bold prediction, you remember that KHL team that was created because of the Sochi Olympics? I bet you they're gone.
Probably.
Yeah, but that's Putin's team. Putin won't let that happen.
I don't know, but it's just if I'm on Hockey Club Sochi, I'm kind of pissed that it's May and I haven't been paid since January.
Ooh. And someone from the NHL just went over there too. A North American player. I can't think of who. But I'm glad you brought up the KHL because what I was trying to pull up for you guys, Harry Sattery, the former Sharks prospect, wants to come to the NHL. And I'm curious to know your thoughts because he's been doing a phenomenal job in the KHL. However, it's the KHL. To
Right.
me, I don't know if that league's even as good as the AHL. And the last time we saw Satri in the AHL for Worcester, which I can't believe was only 3 years ago, he had an 894 save percentage. So is this guy like on crack that he thinks he's going to get an NHL contract, or you think he's just looking for a two-way deal, or what?
Um, that
Question
it's
one: Do we not? Do we own? We don't own Satiri's rights anymore, right?
He has now of age to where I believe he's an unrestricted free agent.
you bring up a very good point because the whole thing with the KHL is it's very, run gun offense. Let's score first and ask questions about plus minus later. So you could argue that by having good goaltending numbers in the KHL, he might actually be a good goalie just because of how much scoring there is in the KHL, and how much of a lack of defensive awareness there is, you know.
Also, that Worcester team was awful.
But that
That
Worcester
too.
team was awful. No doubt.
I mean, I don't know. It's such a crowded. I mean, there's so many things. Like I was talking on, talking with Matt, who's usually in the chat here on Twitter during the game, and we were talking about goaltending, and a point that I brought up is like, yeah, I understand that our pipeline's super dry because I think that he's like he's on the train, and I don't get it. I mean, I don't blame him. I think that a lot of Shark fans probably don't want to see Trey Grosnick in another sweater next year, but I kind of said like it's not a huge deal. Like, yes, we have nothing in the system, but Jones isn't exactly going anywhere. He's going to get re-signed. He's going to get extended. It's probably going to be a somewhat lengthy extension, um, and he's clearly the guy, right? And I think
Agreed.
we all agree.
Yep.
So it's nice to have guys in the system, but you don't have to. I mean, it's not like it's nice to have guys growing up in the system, but you don't necessarily have that. Look, you've got guys like you got guys like Enroth and Peter Dubois that have played in the AHL, over the last couple of years. Um, there's more goalie jobs than there's more goalies than there are goalie jobs,
Absolutely.
and that's the truth. I mean, yeah, is it the ideal farm system has guys top flight prospects at every position developing at the same time. How often does that actually happen for any AHL team? Never. It's very rare that you have an AHL team that has all three positions with just top flight players developing all
Oh,
at the same time.
yeah. Look at how
Um,
we previewed the Barracuda this year. Our biggest concern was defense. Like,
yep.
do we even have any AHL level defensemen besides Ryan and Heed? Was our question for the first couple months of the season.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, there's going to be guys out there that the Barracuda can get to play, to keep them competitive because I mean, obviously Grosnick would be a loss provided that he can be the Grosnick he is this year and not the Grosnick he was last year. And I think that's another thing that and again, this isn't just because the Barracuda lost tonight. I'm not just down on everyone and trying to take a dump on every player we have. Um, but I think you have to keep in mind, and this is a point I feel like I've made all through the season, that a guy like Troy Grosnick, it's good, but this season could very well be an outlier because his numbers before this season don't really leave much to be inspired by. You know,
Agreed.
yes, he had that one game against Carolina in the NHL where he was lights out, but like last
That
year he
led
lost
got
the
him a
net.
one-way contract.
That got him a one-way contract, but then he lost his job last year to Arundel.
Hmm.
And this year, let's be honest, he really didn't have anyone pushing him for the net. Armalis was not good, and Troy Grosnick had a great year. I mean, he was the goalie of the year for a reason. But I'm just not sold that you go all in at Grosnick on this point because there is the age factor, and I think that I think it would be a huge mistake to just really just dump all your eggs into the Grosnick basket at this point on a
No.
27-year-old goalie with one good year.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do. The no inside knowledge hunch in me still thinks Tom McCullum randomly shows up in Teal next year, but it's going to be hard to bring back Grosnick. But I mean,
Yeah.
there's still risk involved there for all the reasons you mentioned.
Yep.
So, and just quickly, the guy I was thinking of who just signed with Sochi today was Casey Wellman, Brentwood, California native,
Oh,
former
there you
Hershey
go.
Bear.
Former
Woohoo!
Hershey
Hey.
Bear.
And then just kind of backtracking a little bit, just one more KHL piece for you guys.
Sure.
CSKA, the Red Army, who, team of guys like Alex Radulov, Pavel Bure, Igor Larionov, apparently is in conversations with Dmitry Orlov of the Washington Capitals.
Heard that.
I heard that today as well.
I
Just
honestly could see that go down if Washington runs into salary cap problems and they
Yeah.
just absolutely have to keep Carl Alsner.
But we see rumors like this every year. Like, oh, this is the
Oh, of
year
course.
Alex Ovechkin's going to. No, he's not. Like,
no, he's not.
Orlov, there's a little bit of a possibility there. I still would take it with a grain of salt. But again, we see him every year. Unless you're Slava Voinov, most guys stay in the NHL. So
Right.
they
Yeah.
use
And I
it
mean-
as contract leverage with their own parent clubs in order just to get a higher salary to stick around.
And correct me if
Right.
I'm wrong. And I feel like I may be a little bit wrong here, but isn't a lot of this just Russian media chest pumping?
Right.
Like,
It's very
just like,
possible.
yeah, our guy come home.
I definitely think that plays into it as well. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of just chest pumping. I mean, that's why, you got to be careful. Me and, Kevin, you've been through this a couple of times where you really have to, when you get a European source, you really got to watch what paper it's coming out of because
Oh,
some
yeah.
of them are just tabloidy as hell.
When Tim Heat signed,
Right.
I mean, we were really careful for like you were the one you got a tip, and then you gave the tip to me, and then I
did.
spent like 4 days researching it before I even posted he might sign with the Sharks, and then
Right.
it was until a couple weeks later before he did that I was like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah, I know, because I was gonna I was gonna run like hell with it. And you're like, okay, no, Ian, don't
Yeah.
be dumb, don't be dumb, Ian.
Yeah, and that's
appreciate it.
Sweden. That's not even Russia.
Right? No, exactly. But that's what I mean. Like, there's a lot of, but you get a lot of that where you get some like pro league, leagues that are definitely papers that are definitely very pro the league they cover,
Mhm.
and they chest pump a little bit about guys and coming back or whatever. But Ovechkin has to go back because
Olympics.
yeah, well, the Olympics, and if Kovalchuk comes this way, I think that's the deal. I think that's the only way it can happen is if they get Ovechkin back, that we can have Kovalchuk back.
Oh.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, Washington. Sorry, Ted
No.
Leonsis. What do you guys think? Like, wait. Well,
I just want to know if Kovalchuk realizes the Atlanta Thrashers don't exist anymore.
Maybe you know what? Maybe he signs that monster deal with the Kings he was allegedly going to sign way back when, and
God.
make things even more fun.
Oh, God.
if you're New Jersey though, I mean, aren't you kind of laughing because like you really you kind of have him over the barrel. If he really wants to play in
Yeah.
the NHL, I mean, you can extort whatever you want from a team that you're going to trade him to.
It's such a convoluted story that I don't even know what New Jersey's real motives are. Like, do they want him? Do they want no part of him? There's talk about them trading his rights, but he still has to be reinstated to New Jersey in order to. I don't know.
I don't see the NHL saying no.
I don't see them saying no either. It's just until
Like the
it
Board of Governors, I
happens.
can't see them voting against it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. James Abel, I kind of lost track of the chat here for a second, and just pointing out that Matt Murray could have 2 Stanley Cups in his rookie year, 2 rings rookie year.
Oh, interesting point.
Gotta love technicalities.
Gotta love technicalities that you can be a 2-time Stanley Cup champion in your rookie season.
That's a wow. My mind is blown. Who pulled that?
That'd be James Abel, who always pulls out awesome
James, you
stuff.
just blew my mind, dude.
That's the one thing I love doing about doing this, because like right now, I mean, we kind of were on the rails for a little bit. The Barracuda depressed us. We went on to other topics, and then and without the chat though, I couldn't imagine doing this show like just like if we were like stuck in a room somewhere without the chat because the chat makes this show. It
This
really
would be
does
the show.
sometimes.
Hi, this is Barracuda After Dark. I have a question right over here. Oh, thanks. Me too. Can I? No, I gotta get to the left hand
That's right.
speaker
Yeah,
first.
absolutely.
Huh?
I said absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Little did we
Oh,
know that since Hockey Jerk doesn't give us a video feed, that's actually what he does off air.
that's right.
He's going la la la
Well,
la la la.
well, you bring up a really good point too, is because the Hockey Jerk account is run by 3 different people,
That's
and
true.
so there are 6 hands that all take turn. It's it's a show.
We got Joe
One of
Will
which
sometimes
is
taking over.
Joe Will.
Puck guy wants to come on.
Why
Oh,
not?
why not? Give me a second, Puck guy. I will find you a link. I gotta
Oh,
pretend
speaking
that I
of
like
Puck
you.
Guy,
Uh-oh. We're
on
gonna talk crap about Puck guy.
tealtownusa.com, check it out. Yesterday, Puck Guy wrote an article celebrating the 1 year anniversary of the Sharks winning the Western Conference, legitimately winning the Western Conference. And it was insane. He chronicled that. Check it out on tealtownusa.com. And then also today, I believe, AJ Strong wrote an article talking about what do you want in the next Sharks third jersey, which probably won't be till 2018-19, but what do you want in the jersey? So check both those articles out.
Agreed. You know what's just kind of weird to me? I'm Paul Gackle just in my Twitter feed and he's talking about baseball and I'm like, there's a Barracuda game tonight. What are you doing? Like he has a real
There's no
job now and he
hockey in
thinks
baseball.
he has a real job now and he thinks he can just start talking Giants. Like what is this? What's with this guy?
It's
We love
almost
you,
like
Paul.
he's trying to. It's almost like he's trying to broaden his scope of content, so in
I-
order to make himself more readable, that jerk.
I know he works for the Merc. I'm completely just I'm teasing. We love Paul. Hey, remember Paul came on our show before he was a Merc guy, so that just shows how great we are, or how great he is. I don't know. I don't even know at this point.
I like to think that the Merc was watching our show and they were like, "Hey, that Gackle guy is really
That
good."
guy, yeah, that guy's really good. I don't know about those idiots he's on with, but that Gackle guy, he's going places. I sent Puck Guy the link. I don't know if he's coming on or not. Maybe I sent him the wrong link. Maybe I need to give him a new one. Oh no, there he is. It's over, man. Game over.
We're all about to be grounded.
Puck Guy. Hello, Puck Guy. There he is. Did you watch the game, good sir?
Oh, now I just came on. Hi. I saw most of it.
Okay, good. Because if you're gonna come on without watching the game, man, I was gonna kick you right.
No. I was totally trying to be the slushy guy and be like, it's not a chat without somebody saying, "Can I come on?"
That's true. That's true.
So, yeah. Ouch. That was painful. The first period went all right, and then second period, it's like you have this delicious plate of Mexican food, and then all of a sudden you don't feel so good, and then you just go bleh.
I also want to
And-
point out that Kevin left and Puck Guy came on. Hashtag same person. Oh wait,
right
no,
here.
not the
I'm right
same
here.
person.
We-
Not the same person.
Oh, we have a trade to announce.
We have a conspiracy theory to announce.
Oh,
So,
my-
Puck guy, I have a question for you.
okay.
What city do the Canucks play in?
Oh, yeah. Vancouver.
There we go.
Oh,
Can people still get these wonderful shirts, by the way?
Yes, they certainly can at bringhockeyback.net.
Perfect.
By all means.
Apparently, this is just like a long run of commercials now. Sorry, guys.
Yes. No, just when you thought the Audible advertisement ended.
Oh,
It's all shirts all the time.
That's right. We want to keep you clothed 24/7, 365. But yeah.
Would you like a timeshare? Because Teal Town USA will get you a timeshare.
Oh no. No.
Let me tell you about stamps.com. All right. So seriously, Puck Guy, we've got you on.
Yes, sir.
I know we talked about the Barracuda. The Barracuda game's depressing.
Painfully depressing.
So my question for you is, you're obviously, are you still keeping track of the NHL playoffs, or were you too scarred by the Edmonton debacle?
No. I will watch the playoffs, no matter what.
Okay, so I pose a question to you that I asked the gang earlier. As much as we all hate Pittsburgh, because I think that's a given, are you happy, though, that Ottawa wasn't able to progress to the Stanley Cup Finals so that the NHL could be spared from watching boring trap hockey again?
I mean, I get it. Marketing-wise, this is what they want as a desirable series to have. To hear the NBC Sports Pittsburgh crew call the game, but I would have been fine with Ottawa. I thought they played a pretty good game last night and really showed resiliency. I mean, to come back after Pittsburgh gets the lead twice and gets it right back on it. I mean, the resiliency on that, and kudos to Ottawa. What a heck of a run they had, But yeah, do we want boring hockey? No, it's not going to sell a game, and it's not going to be great. That NBC is just, wiping off their forehead because of what could have happened last night.
I heard that they were like that basically depending on the outcome of that game, they were going to like borrow the suicide nets from China where the iPhones are made to make sure that the executives didn't die when they saw that Ottawa won.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, obviously, in Canada, it would have been fine because as much as like no one gives a crap about the Sens up here, I think I think when you look at Canadian teams, I think like the Sens and maybe the Jets are probably the lowest on the totem pole of Canadian teams. And we all just universally despise Vancouver unless you're in Vancouver. But
that's for sure.
But I feel like even though like it's Ottawa, like people would still watch in Canada. I mean, they'll still watch Nashville, Pittsburgh too. But I feel like it wouldn't have been as big of an issue to have an Ottawa Nashville final as it would be in the States, where I think that would be a really tough sell.
It would have been a tough sell down here. Although Nashville, I mean, their cup run this year has been phenomenal.
Hopefully
but
get more than one national broadcast next season.
That was exactly where I was going to go next with that. It's like,
exactly.
Yes. It's great that Nashville's had such a good run, but it's painful because at the same time, and I understand, I think that you have to look at, NBC is obviously going to look out for their own networks. Obviously the Sharks get on a ton because we have an NBC affiliate. Yep. And Nashville doesn't. I believe Nashville's a Fox Sports affiliate.
Yeah, they're Fox Sports Tennessee.
Yeah. So, but still, I mean, there's some teams, especially in the States, where you want them to be on, right? Like you want these to be teams that people know, and people should know more about PK Subban other than the one chance he gets on TV and Mike Milbury rips them apart.
Yeah.
Like it bothers me. To answer a question in the chat for Lady Dragonborn, so another U.S. hockey final, how are Canadians feeling about that? We don't care. Most of us don't give a damn, honestly. The only team we want to see in the Stanley Cup is our own team. It's not like, regardless of who wins the cup, it's not like the cup's not going to cross the border at some point,
right,
or multiple points during that team celebration. Like, I think a lot of Canadians are disillusioned with this national pride angle that it's a easy sell for the media up here to try and shove down our throats. But I think people are getting more resilient to it. They just don't like, they just don't like they don't like the fact that we're supposed to cheer for this team because they're Canadian, or like this is supposed to be a national pride thing. These guys play
Do,
to fill their wallets with money. They're not playing for national pride. If they're playing for national pride, then there'd be a hell of a lot more teams in Canada to fit all the Canadians on them that play in the league.
do you think that things? I'm guessing things have changed since 2004. I remember very vividly when the Sharks went up against Calgary
Mm-hmm.
in the Western Conference Final, how it seemed like the whole country got on board with the Calgary Flames as they took
Some
on the
teams were
Sharks.
more likable than others, right? Like
That's
that. There was a
that's
lot
my
to like.
that's,
There was a lot to like about that Calgary team.
mhm.
Whereas Vancouver versus Boston, I don't think Vancouver had the same amount of support among Canadians. I think, it's easy to sometimes rally. It's easy. Like right now, I think, Nashville's the darling right now, right? Because they've got PK Subban and people want to see PK Subban win so we can all laugh at Edmonton sorry, Montreal forever and ever and ever and ever. Right? Like it's just, I think sometimes it happens, but I think it has more to do with who's on the team than where the team's based.
The funny thing is, Shea Weber honestly had a better season than PK Subban regular season.
True.
But I guess he who gets the last laugh kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't think if Nashville wins this, I don't think it's an indictment on Shea Weber.
I hope it's not. Poor guy.
Like it shouldn't be, right? Like, but if you look, I mean, me and Hockey Jerk talked about this off the top of the show, that if you look at what the problem that, when Montreal got kicked out of the playoffs in the first round, their defense couldn't get the puck into the other zone. Like they couldn't leave the blue line
Yeah.
crisply enough. And, you know, they may have had a guy that would have made that a whole lot easier.
Question: did Mark Bergevin ever play for the Penguins?
Yeah, I think so. I think he wore number 23.
There you go.
Is he probably the biggest Penguins fan in Montreal right now? I mean,
I got nothing for you there.
I mean, he's sweating bullets. I mean, even though PK's kind of been, I don't want to say quiet
Right.
this season, but I think he's definitely had a different role in Nashville as opposed in Montreal.
Well, the supporting staff is a little higher.
That's true.
That's what I was gonna say. Is you have guys like Ryan Ellis, Roman Josi, and Matthias Ekholm all basically sharing the spotlight with PK Subban. It allows him to fly under the radar, but still have an effective season.
Yeah, Nick asking me in the chat, who is Canada's favorite team? Look, I mean, the Leafs are a financial juggernaut, and that's not by accident. But I really think it's more like of a regional thing. I think you see a big split between the Canadians and the Leafs, obviously, and that's partially because they're both arbitrary six teams. They've been there the longest, and I think that matters, right? I mean, people have been fans of, my dad's a Habs fan, his dad was a Habs fan, probably his father before him was probably a Habs fan. And before the Sharks came in the league, I was a Habs fan. I think that it's kind of ingrained, and so being sold, especially Montreal. I mean, Montreal, they as great as they were, there was lots of reasons they were great. The draft used to not be a thing. You just you had a region where you pulled players from, and we know that a lot of good French players. We know of a lot of good players that have come out of Quebec or that region, which would automatically be Montreal Canadiens because they just had unilateral rights to that region of players. So I think, but Montreal won a ton of cups, obviously, and I think that obviously helps too. And the Leafs, look, the Leafs are the Leafs. They're always, they've always been a popular team. They could be terrible as hell, and they're still the most talked about team on Canadian media. And then as you go out west, Calgary, Edmonton, I mean, they're smaller market teams, but I think that they have good fan bases as well. And Vancouver, Vancouver fans are passionate as hell too, even if their team sucks and they're obnoxious and whatever.
They tip over cop cars.
And
I
and
actually
they
had a-
and they may riot after Stanley Cup loses.
I had a
Twice.
Canucks fan tell me yesterday. I think the real reason why we hate the Sharks so much isn't because we hate the Sharks, but it's because we're jealous that your window just won't end. Whereas our
Yeah. It's funny. Nick asking if I'm still a Habs fan. Honestly, I think I have a softer spot in me for the Jets than I would for the Canadians. And the reason is look at Montreal. Now that I'm an adult and I can think for myself, and I was a kid and I thought for myself too, and I became a Sharks fan. But with Montreal, I think I would have ended up just souring on that franchise at some point. Let it be when Patrick Waugh left. Let it be when, basically when you can't hire a decent coach because you're limiting yourself arbitrarily to coaches that speak French for stupid political reasons in Quebec. And
Speaking French is a hell of a drug.
speaking French is a hell of a drug. But I think all of those things eventually would have. And then Subban, if I had somehow made it to Subban, I would have definitely been. That would have been the straw that broke the camel's back, I'd like to think. I just think I would have become disillusioned with them as an adult, and I don't really feel anything for them anymore as a team. But it's funny though because I still hate teams that are like big Canadian rivals, right? Like I'm not a Leafs fan. I don't have a soft spot for the Leafs. I don't like the Bruins at all. So it's funny how I've ditched the team, but kind of held on to those rivalries.
Nice.
So you say you don't like the Bruins. So does that mean we can expect you to be drafted by them next month?
Yes. Yes. You heard it here first. I think that 37-year-olds get drafted all the time, right?
Why not, eh?
37-year-olds that can't skate. Yeah, that sounds like the Bruins drafting record.
Wait. On behalf of the Boston Bruins, we'd like to say hello to our viewing party over at the Wicked Awesome Bar at Fenway Park. And
Where is this draft being held, by the way?
NBC's favorite Western Conference city, Chicago.
That's
Oh.
right.
I thought you were going to say NBC's favorite Western Conference city, Pittsburgh.
No.
But,
No. Don't forget. Don't forget. Little sidetrack here. NBCSN, you're home for 21 regular season Chicago Blackhawks games because even if they did get swept out of the playoffs, we don't care.
Well,
But,
well, and they have to show a Western Conference team, so why not show one that
Exactly.
plays as close to the Eastern Five?
So we want to thank everybody at the Fenway Park Bar in Wicked Ass in Boston, and on behalf of the Boston Bruins, we want to select from Sault Ste. Marie and the OHL, Ian
Duff.
Ride.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Not even in the OHL, just Ian Reed sitting. We'd like to draft sitting on his computer podcasting about hockey. Ian Reed.
You forgot one thing, Eric.
What?
You
Good
forgot.
time,
We'd also like to and this is where I was going with my thing. We'd like to congratulate the Stanley Cup champion Nashville Boo! And then Ian gets booed the whole rest of the draft for getting picked by Boston.
No. You have to take the Tim Murray approach. Just walk up to the mic and be like, Ian Reed, and then just walk away.
Isn't that the worst part of Tim Murray getting fired though? Because like I always wanted to see Tim Murray just kind of go out and just like point at somebody, and then like just have the prospects kind of just look at each other and try and figure out who he pointed at, and just walk off the stage, and whoever like gets to the stage first gets the jersey.
I just wanted them to like set up a microphone at the Buffalo Sabres draft table so he doesn't even have to get up.
Tim Murray will just be like, draft guide. Be like, that guy.
That guy.
Him.
That one guy from Erie in the OHL.
Oh Jesus.
AO in
Future
the chat
consideration
saying,
says this guy should go at this number, so we select this guy at.
Yeah.
AO in the chat saying that Ian is going to play on the same line with Pasternak.
Probably.
Oh, nice.
See, I could score.
There you
That.
go.
Come on.
But Pasternak's always on injured reserve, so that's not good, Ian.
Oh man,
What was I going to say about Ottawa?
I did say that's funny. I said Montiel instead of Montreal.
Montiel.
Montiel.
Mark
That'll be
Bergevin
their
had
third jersey.
three partial seasons with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
There you go.
He got acquired mid-season, traded mid-season, and traded mid-season.
Wow.
All right, guys. I gotta wrap this up though, because I gotta go deal with crying baby.
Yes.
I should probably help out with that.
I have a feeling.
Thanks for watching.
I have a feeling he's upset the Ottawa Senators lost.
He's upset the Barracuda lost. Thank you very much.
Yes. Oh, that's what we were on for.
All right, guys. Look at this was fun. Obviously appreciate all you guys taking the time to watch our show. Be sure to subscribe. TealTownUSA.com, TealTownUSA on Facebook, TealTownUSA on Twitter. You get the drill. You can also find us at TTG Reborn on Twitter for things related specifically to this specific podcast. Oh, here he is. Say hi. Oh, I'm tired.
That's who Boston drafted?
That's who Boston drafted. Caleb.
Yes.
Caleb Reed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you get
Someone
drafted?
is
Good
happy
job.
to go to Boston.
There you go. All right. So anyway, definitely, subscribe to all the different things that we do, because we do awesome stuff. Read the recent articles. We have I think all three, Felix, Eric, and AJ all have articles up on tealtownusa.com, so you don't want to miss that. One day I will write again. I promise. I just don't know when that will be. Love y'all. Have a good night. See you back here tomorrow.
Yeah, we
same
hope tomorrow's
time,
not the
same
last
place.
one of these.
Happier face, maybe. And if it is the last one, then so be it. We will riot for you on your behalf on air. Have a good one.
The riot will be so bad we might jaywalk.
We might jaywalk it. I'm gonna bump into people, and I am not going to apologize.